What's going on, everybody? I hope you're doing awesome today. In this video, I want to talk about the home buying process. More importantly, how do you feel after you make that big purchase? I don't want any of my clients to ever have regrets after they purchase their home, because you know what? If you have regrets afterwards, you're probably going to look back at your realtor or at your lender or someone like that, and you're just going to have these horrible thoughts in your head. And it's just not a great situation for anyone involved. So I want to talk to you about the top home buyers' regrets so that you can avoid having those regrets after you make the purchase of your next home. Buyer's remorse or regrets. Let's talk about ways to best avoid those. Number one is people often say, I feel like I paid too much money for my home. Now, I will tell you that in a buyer's market or a seller's market, there are two different strategies and approaches that you need to take when buying a home. So you need to make sure that you sit down with a trusted realtor like myself and have a discussion around the market today. Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? Because that certainly has an impact on pricing and what you might have to pay for your property. The biggest thing that your realtor can do for you in the entire process when talking about pricing is put together what's called a CMA, a comparative market analysis. Through the CMA, your realtor will take a look at properties that have recently sold in the area, and not only do they need to be within a certain radius of the property you're looking at, but they also need to look at recent sales. So we're not talking about going back 5 years ago and taking a look at what property sold for then, because that should not have any bearing on market value today. So through that CMA, you can take a look at properties that have sold that are comparable in size, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, and things like that. So what you can do is you take a look at those numbers and you look at where those properties sold and you see where you could be paying for your property and see how those numbers compare. Are you super high? If so, then when you offer, then yes, you need to back your offer down a little bit and make sure that it's in line with the market. As I mentioned a couple seconds ago, if it's a buyer or seller's market, that has a huge bearing on what you do through the whole process of offering on a home. So make sure you figure that part out first, but don't overpay for your house. I know that that can be the most terrible feeling afterwards, because what happens is you look at your monthly budget, the mortgage payment comes in, and then you just get stressed, right? And you don't want to be stressed in your brand new house. You're in a new house, new place to live. It's supposed to be fun, exciting, and the last thing you want to do is stress out about that monthly payment. So make sure that you go through a comparative market analysis with your realtor, go through the numbers, and make sure that you are going to pay a fair price for that next property. Please do me a favor, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. It helps me and it supports my channel. Through that simple action, you can do me a favor. A second big regret that I hear is, I failed to understand how much maintenance a home requires. And yes, through home ownership, you do have to maintain your home. I'm a realtor located here in the northern Atlanta area. I make sure, especially when I'm dealing with clients that maybe it's their first time buying a property and they've been renting for a while, I make sure they understand up front that, look, it's a little bit different than renting in that when that AC breaks or the hot water heater goes out, you don't just call a landlord and have someone to come over and fix it for you, and you don't have to pay anything, right? That's what happens when you rent. Through home ownership, there are maintenance projects that are going to come up. Things are going to break, kind of like your car. Things happen with a car, and you have to pay to get them fixed. I'll give you an example here. I was talking to a client not long ago, and she's been renting for a while. She hasn't bought a home yet, And we got into a discussion about buying a house, and I made sure she understood that yes, there are things that will come up, and you need to account for those things in your monthly budget when you're trying to plan for the purchase of your next home. And through all of that, she realized, hey, you know what? I don't think now is the right time for me to buy. She will buy eventually, but now was not the right time. And you know what? I am completely fine that I sort of talked her out of buying a home, because the last thing I want her to do is to jump into something and then she has regrets later. And then she calls me and she says, well, why didn't you tell me that I'd have to fix X and fix Y and it was all on my dime to get it repaired? I don't want that to happen at all with my clients. So make sure that you understand everything that is involved with home ownership, including maintenance. Another regret that I hear is I feel like I made a decision too quickly on which property to purchase. I understand if it's a seller's market and houses are flying off the market at a rapid pace and you need to move, then yes, unfortunately you'll have to make a quick decision. But if it's a buyer's market or a market where we have some equilibrium, you will have some time to decide. My advice to you would be, as you're taking a look online, most of us find properties online that we're interested in and those nice pictures catch our eyes. I will say, if you find something that you like, take a look at it, give it a couple days, log back in a couple days or the next day, look at those pictures again, read the stats about the property, look at where it's located on the map, look at everything, and then see how you feel. Because oftentimes, as we're looking online for properties, we see something that's great, and immediately we say, oh yes, this is the one, I love it, let's go see it, I love this property. That is making a decision based on emotion. You don't want to make an emotional decision, because later on you could end up regretting it. Take a couple days, think on it, and then decide, okay, hey, yes, want to go see this one, go take a look at it, set up the showing with your realtor, and then I will also tell you that one showing might not be enough. Once again, go back home, think on it another day, go back the next day if you think you're still interested, and take a look around. Just don't make a rush decision, because that could lead to buyer's remorse afterwards, and none of us want that. Here's another one. Dang, I just overestimated the total cost of ownership when dealing with a house. What do I mean by that? You've got principal and interest that everyone thinks about every month when you're talking about a monthly payment on a home. But guess what? There are taxes and there are homeowners insurance costs that you've got to account for. So every single month, most of us put this money into an escrow, but every single month, part of your mortgage payment is taxes and homeowners insurance for that property. So please don't forget about those two important costs when you're considering how much you'll have to pay for that loan every single month. As I mentioned earlier, there are maintenance costs and things like that associated with your house too that you'll have to account for. But make sure that you take your time, and I like to put things into a spreadsheet. I'm a big numbers person. Put it all into a spreadsheet, crunch the numbers back and forth, left and right, to make sure that you're 100% comfortable with the data that is generated. I'm really hopeful that this video has helped you to think through those things that are involved with owning a property, because I don't want you or anyone else to have buyer's remorse afterwards. Shoot, who knows? I could have just talked some of you out of buying a house, and that is totally fine, because more so than getting someone into a house, I want to make sure that they're happy and 100% satisfied with that decision. I absolutely appreciate you stopping by and checking out this video. I'll see you on the next one.